Icon Comic Con presents Behind the Comic Book Podcast.
Hey everybody, it's Mr. 845 here, and we're interviewing another comic book creator and artist. This is all for the Icon Comic Con, which is November the 1st, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Somebody that's been to every single one so far. This is artist Kevin Delgado, and tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, my name is Kevin Delgado. I'm an illustrator, cartoonist. I'm a creator, writer, penciler, inker, colorist, letterer of Tough Stuff. And I'm pretty well known for doing remarks and for variant covers that I've been doing for the past, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, man, I can speak to his talent because Kevin did an awesome job on an exclusive artwork that he actually sent us. It was, basically one of the Icon Comic Con, I think it was threes exclusive. Yeah. And then you had the Tough Stuff, and then you had the Gotcha Men too. So it's like you hit us with a double whammy of exclusive. So it was awesome. When it comes to like me interviewing a lot of the artists and kind of trying to, make sure that I get their information out there. If somebody wanted to work with you, yeah, there it goes. Is that the metal one?
No, I do have one upstairs, and it's the foil one, but
Nice.
It's slab. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So before we continue out, the biggest thing I want to make sure is if somebody wanted to work with you, if they wanted to support you in any way, if they wanted to find like any of your art out there, how would they do that? What's the easiest way?
Easiest way is probably through Instagram. It's the-Kevin-Delgado. I'm on Whatnot a lot at the Kevin Delgado. And then I have a website. It's kevindelgado.co. Facebook, it's The Art of Kevin Delgado. It's a Facebook group. Or you can look up Delgado space Kevin on Facebook.
Okay. And that's all the links that you're going to have to give me so that I can make sure I put on the video, just so that way you can make sure, because if people didn't capture that, I want to make sure they got that stuff.
Yeah, there's a link tree. You could just look up kevindelgado.linktree.com and that'll send you to everything.
All right. We're definitely going to get those links though, Kev. So
yeah,
make sure to get those to me. So the big thing that I want to make sure that I ask all artists and kind of, comic book creators in general is, oh, there you go. Hold it up nice and slow. All right. So if you guys scan that QR code, you'll definitely be able to get all his contact info, especially when it comes to a lot of the exclusives that he's done in covers. He does some banging jobs, just saying. So, Kev, so the big thing that I usually ask artists is, when you guys were little and you just started off in the world and you're like, I want to be this when I grow up. Was it always you wanted to be a comic book artist or some sort of artist, or was it just like, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, it was pretty much always comic book artist. And even to this day, it's like I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Mm. And that passion had just been brewing up inside of me. And, eventually I just was able to quit my job and make this a full-time thing.
Nice. And tell us, like, how exactly did the process go? So, like, when you were in high school, when you were in your 20s, what took you through this path into becoming an artist?
Right. So I was, I'm a 90s kid, so I was huge into animation of the era. Comics were big in the early 90s, mid 90s. So I was a big fan. And then like high school came and I kind of got out of it, got more interested in like girls and stuff and growing up. I ended up in art college at the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. And while I was there, Astonishing X-Men came out, and John Cassidy's take on X-Men, like it was like the first time I ever seen like realistic illustration as far as like proportions and stuff that wasn't like cartoony. So that brought me back into comics, and I kind of just dabbled for about a decade. And in 2015 I was in an accident. I broke my back, and part of my rehab was like I just started drawing every day. So I challenged myself to draw 100 Marvel characters in 100 days. And then throughout that course of that, I started developing a series called Volantis. I ended up publishing that series for 8 issues. And yeah, then the pandemic hit and I started making tough stuff, and then my career just kind of took off from there.
Nice, nice. So take us through the premise of now that you have like the foundation of how you became an artist, the idea of publishing your own books. Like what took you to that realm that you were like, you know what, I want to do my own thing and I want to be able to publish my own stuff. So like what took you through that path?
Yeah, no, that's definitely the necessity of it was just wanting to make my own story. Like I used to have like fever dreams, and I would kind of put them all together and create something like that would coalesce from that, and that's what became Volantis. So it's just really just like trial and error and learning, watching definitely different YouTube videos, going to conventions, picking people's brains. Uh, it's a crash course in learning how to succeed
Mhm.
by failure, if that makes sense. And by the time I was like, okay, I'm going to make something new, I had all these tools in the arsenal, and I had all this knowledge that I gained from doing so much wrong that when I did something, when I was ready to do it again, I avoided a lot of pitfalls.
Okay. I mean, it's important to kind of get some background in the sense of like, what took you to the realm of eventually publishing your work. And, a lot of people just wanted to see like the pathway that you kind of went because, I'm sure that with the trial and errors as a business owner is, you kind of try some stuff out. And if it doesn't work out, you have to kind of like pivot and see, okay, am I going to continue this or am I going to move, through the path, right? So, I know that you publish your own stuff. So when did you start doing the convention scene? Because I know I've seen you at multiple conventions, at even my convention. So it's like it's something to kind of wonder, like, how did you get into the convention life at that point?
Yeah, I pretty much got into the convention scene like right off the rip. When I started making Volantis, there's a local comic book shop in Buffalo called Queen City Bookstore,
Okay.
and the owner Emil is so great to emerging talent and people that want to do it and succeed. And I would just hang out at his store. He would throw conventions, kind of like ones at like the Marriott, little
Mhm.
maybe like 14 table vendors, whatever, stuff like that. He had some big ones too. And then around the same time, there was one in Buffalo called Nickel City Con, and that's like the premier convention. So that kind of started all at the same time. So I've been doing that show ever since its inception as well, and I really just seen like the explosion of Comic Cons as far as they were few and far between. Like the big ones. When I was starting, the big one was New York
Yeah.
City and San Diego. And
Hmm.
now there's, Terrificon, there's MegaCon. Like, I don't know how old those ones are. I know Terrificon's only about 10 years old as well. So that's better. I've been going to that since the inception of that too. And that's a big show.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I just noticed the explosion of it. And it's just, I got, Brugman's one of my partners. So when we got linked up, we just started, hey, you want to do this show? You want to do a show? Yeah, let's book a
Mhm.
table. And we just kind of took off from there.
Yeah. Now, like, talking about that collaboration and kind of meeting with people and stuff like that, is it something that you hooked up with him before you guys like started working together and stuff like that, or traveling together, if you will? Or was it kind of like you guys know each other for years and then you kind of met?
No, so when I started doing exclusives, I started with a shop called 3D Comics,
Okay.
and they got some success. I was their first, exclusive artist or whatever, and we had some success, and it allowed them to branch out and work with other artists as well. And John was knocking at the door, and he got his first work through them, and basically some like through meeting him and his family, like we all just linked up, and it was just, hey, it probably makes sense if we're from the same area, if we travel, split costs and things like that, because John's a lot younger than me. John's like 10 years younger than me, so you know it is what it is, but it's cool. We became great friends, and great friends with the family. Like I talked to his dad today, I talked to him today
Wow.
separately. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Like you guys basically like linked up and became a friendship like out of nothing, So
Mm-hmm.
it's like the love of comics is what brought you guys together, and it's kind of cool that you have that dynamic. I know I've seen you guys at multiple cons, like I said, including my own. You guys do some awesome work, and it's like, so how many exclusives have you done or covers have you done, in your entirety so far? Because it's a lot, right?
Over 4 dozen.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
I have a couple myself. So
yeah. I like 2023 was a rough year, so that year was light, and I still I did like a bunch of indie books that year,
mhm.
but I didn't do a lot. And then last year and this year, just everything just full gear.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm doing like 4 or 5 covers a month now. Like it's
nice.
insane.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I know you have a couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if I'm not mistaken, right? Though, especially the one with the pizza, Raffi, right? Doing the pizza
Oh
hole.
yeah, people love that one, man. I sell that like every day.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, and
And
my thing keeps cutting out.
well, you got the background down, but it's what I'm
Ah,
saying. But like as you guys can see, it's an awesome cover. It kind of like gives you reminiscent of the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like the show and stuff like that, where you kind of it brings that back, that flavor.
yeah.
So when kind of talking about like with all these different artists, and you kind of going through your exclusives, and then on top of that, your published works in Tough Stuff, I wanted to kind of make sure that we actually delve into what you. Oh, Godzilla, nice.
Dude, that one's sick.
It
That one sold
is.
out quick.
Is that a foil cover?
Yeah.
Oh, that
It
thing
is
is sick.
500 foil.
Yeah,
They flew.
yeah.
Sorry.
Godzilla is very popular right now, so it's something that Vampirella, right?
Yeah. Kind of
Nice.
crossing a bunch off the list. Sorry, man. I don't mean to.
No, listen. You want to show it off? Let's flaunt it, baby. Yeah. But it's important to kind of see some of the works that he's done so far. I mean, some of the stuff. Yeah, I think I remember that cover. That one posted up a while back, though, right? Is that
Yeah,
one?
that was about a year ago.
Yeah. I remember.
Department of Truth.
Nice. No, and now basically with all your contacts and stuff like that you've accumulated now, the biggest thing I was trying to kind of mention is like, as you're coming through the comic book scene, what are your lessons learned, if you will? Like you're going into the scene basically as a novice, and then now becoming a more matured veteran. It's going through that path. What were your trials and tribulations like?
I would say the thing right now that I'm working on the most is like balance. Like, so there's commerce, and then there's like, following your passion project or however you want to say that. So like, usually I put out 1 or 2 tough stuffs a year. I'm behind, because I'm doing all these covers and stuff, and like, yeah, I'm doing covers and a lot of like remarks and sketch covers, a lot of commissions. Trying to bank it up so that I can work on a book, without it's
You
just
have a
hard.
buffer.
Yeah. So like there's actors that say like, oh, I'll do like a studio film and then I'll do a film for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's trying to find that balance because I'm not finding it. Like I just find myself working like doing the commerce side more than I am doing the passion side.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's a big thing because like ultimately is my legacy going to be sketch covers that I did and commissions, or is it going to be the series that I wrote and pursued and pushed?
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So for me, that's like an internal thing I struggle with. As far as like pitfalls and stuff, it's like I kind of went through all that with Volantis, and I tell all aspiring artists this, or cartoonists, I should say, whoever's trying to do like their own book, don't go big. Like make it a small story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's good, build off that. Like I didn't pitch Tough Stuff, the first one, as like this big sprawling story that was going to go on and on and on and on. It was kind of like, okay, here's a book, here's another volume. It's the same character, but like it's a different story. You don't have to read the first one to read this one. You know what I mean? And so on and so forth.
So it's not a continuity, but it's more situational.
Yeah, nobody cares about continuity anymore. Plus, like, then you're stressing yourself to like make something like nonstop. It's so
fit a certain narrative.
Yeah. So like, and if you're a reader, if you're not dropping all those books like one right after another, and there's a gap in between, you're gonna lose readership and interest because, I if you can't produce that fast, what am I investing in? You know, so
Yeah,
that's
and it'd be a lot more difficult for them to get vested if you're spacing them out too much.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean it makes total sense. And the big thing that I wanted to make sure is to cover that book. So with Tough Stuff, as you coming out with that series, the dynamic, who's the main character, where'd you kind of get the idea of it? Take us through that little path because I want to make sure that we cover that.
yeah. So pandemic hit, and my brother and I, you run out of things to do. You're just trapped in the house, and the so we started playing Tubi roulette, where we would go on Tubi and just pick like the worst movie we could find and force ourselves to watch it, and we just shoot the ass the whole time, make fun of it, make jokes and stuff. So I was watching like all the B movies from the 80s and early 90s, and one day I was like, I should do like make my own version, but make it like just crazy and over the top. And then it's like, well, you're a comic book artist, so just make it a comic book. Okay. And then one of the things I thought of was, well, if you make a main character, right, and you make them a certain way, is your readers, are they gonna like attach to it? Right. So I chose a cat, one, because my last name can be translated into the cat. And two, like a cat's an avatar that anyone could be, if that makes sense as a reader. So like right there, I'm opening my audience to a whole new, it's the character. It's not what they look like. It's not, a race. It's not a gender. It's not, you know what I mean? It's a little gray scarfy cat.
It's the emotion that you put behind the cat itself and not necessarily like, the tidbits, if you will, to make it like grandioso. You're making it relatable.
Exactly. And the way I ended up, like the style I generated for that book, it made it like, I don't want to say easier, because there's some real technical drawing in those books, but like having a main character that I can kind of cartoonize and like draw quickly, it really makes making a book less of a chore and more fun, because it like, do you remember the old like Disney, like how to draw Disney characters, where it's like, oh, you draw circles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of took that approach to it, because then it's easier for me to generate the artwork as needed.
So now you do the interiors and the covers and the coloring or illustrating.
I do everything.
That's crazy. How do you find, like, that's the biggest question. I know that you're saying balance. It was one of your big things. Is how do you find the time to do all those works? Because doesn't it come in stages? Like you first have to do the storyboard, or how do you approach it? Do you do the drawings first and then the storyboard, or vice versa?
Well, I write the script out, right? And when I write the script, I'm breaking down each page as I'm writing it, right? So I write like a legit script writer would. And then what I do is I print it out and I leave spaces at every page. So then here, let me see if I can find my current script that I can show you. Okay. So this is my script, right? So these are my layouts. Oh, I gotta change that. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix that.
Yeah, that's all good, bro. I want to make sure that you show the stuff off so that way people can kind of see some of the stuff that they're.
So there's my layout, right? There's my script. There's my layout. Then I literally just pull out the big paper and start laying out my panels, and I draw. But that's where it starts.
So you come up with a full-fledged script, like multiple issues, and then kind of like, or do you come up with like one issue at a time? Like how? Because that thing is thick. That's a thick script. I'm sure so you got a couple of episodes in there.
Well, every book is double-sized.
Okay.
So that's why I only do one a year, because it's I'm doing 40 pages in each book.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's showing that the amount of work that you're putting into it. That script is huge. Like I think that was a movie.
Yeah. Every book could be a movie. That's kind of the plan. That's kind of the idea.
So like an animated series is. So like, where do you want to go with this? Do you want it to become like its own movie, maybe a live action adaptation nowadays? So like, where would you want to bring it?
Yeah, it's always kind of been all right. So there's two ways I would do it. I would do it one as a movie, like a full feature, it would probably be like a mixture of the first two. Would be like the first movie. Um, I'm thinking. Remember the Dick Tracy movie?
Mm-hmm.
I'd want it to be like that. I'd want every character to have like prosthetics, but be an actual actor.
Mm-hmm.
But like have the prosthetics to look like how the characters look exactly in the book, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And I'd want it shot like almost exactly the same backdrops, all that stuff. And then tough stuff would probably be like I wouldn't want to do CG, but I kind of think you'd have to.
Mm-hmm.
That or like a Muppet. I think a Muppet would be cooler, actually.
It would be funny.
Or like a blend of the two. Or you just go full cartoon, full animation.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like, are we talking ugly Sonic, or are we talking the nice looking Sonic now, the one that actually looks like Sonic?
I'd want it to look as much like my drawing as possible.
Okay.
Like, something like that. Like I did have an animation test, and the animator you wanted to use their style, which like I get, but it wasn't tough stuff to me. Like it's not tough stuff if it doesn't look like my drawing of him.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like I get a lot of fan art, like a lot, and you can always tell like who actually reads it and who just thinks it's like a cool character to draw. Because there's a lot of interpretation that's not there. Because you have to read it like he's got like a prosthetic right hand. That's it. People will draw him with like two hands, but like that kind of defeats the logic that I put in place. Like he has limitations. You know what I mean? I gave him a cyborg arm and leg in the third and fourth book because, now it's more of action packed. And then the fifth book, those get taken away. So like it's a part of his characters to like have limitations and have problems.
Yeah, you'd be limping and no hands.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I can't wait till people see the fifth one. The fifth one is what I'm working on now. It's the Tough Stuff prison special. And if I wasn't doing like 3 covers a week, I'd be working on that nonstop.
So like when it comes to this book, right? How do you publish it in a sense? Like how long does it take you to publish? Let me just ask you that. Like this is a 40 pager?
Yeah.
So how long does it take you in the whole process altogether?
I mean, if I was just really cooking on it, like 4 to 5 months. However, I got too much. Yeah, I taking on this as a full-time job. Like I used to be able to just go to work, come home, and then work on Tough Stuff, right? But now it's like, okay, I got to stream a couple times a week. I got to travel. I got to do all these shows. I'm doing a ton of conventions, so every weekend I'm gone. So I'm losing, a day traveling, right? So it's taken me exponentially longer, but it's really just more the fact that I'm doing so many shows and doing so many covers and stuff.
So when this actually releases, I want to make sure that we capture this. So when this actually releases, might be late May or early June. Yes, I pre-record everything, guys. So when this releases, like take us through the schedule of the different cons that you're going to be at.
Well, I'm hoping that the Kickstarter is live for the Tough Stuff prison special by the time this airs. So let's see. Today it's early May. I'll be at Philly Fan Expo May 16th through the 18th. I'll be at Niagara Falls Comic-Con the last weekend of May. I'll be at Heroes Con in June. I'll be at Nickel City Con in June. July, I think I'm taking most of the month off. August, I'll be at Terrificon. I'll be at Baltimore Comic-Con, and I might be at New York. And then, I don't know, we'll see what else is going on between then and there.
I mean, I don't want you to like position you in any way in the sense of an opinion, but like I really enjoyed Terrificon in comparison to New York City Comic Con, just because of the way that you could kind of flow through the building and not feel like you're cramped. That's something that I just enjoy because I get to spend time with you guys there. I get to interview you in New York City Comic Con. It's like you got to push through, man. You got to push through. You got to push through because it's just the walk is just intense. And now you said you also get fan art now because of Tough Stuff being releasing. Now, are you getting it from like all different like walks of life? Is this like kids, adults that are reading your books, or is it one type of demographic?
It's mostly other artists, mostly other cartoonists and stuff, and people that want to get like their artwork featured. Because I publish, usually like 4 or 5 to 7 pieces in a book in a single issue. So I get a lot of stuff from that, which is cool. And sometimes I'll collaborate on it too. If someone sends me like inked work and I have time, I'll color it. Like just throw it in there. Why not? You know?
No, I mean this is some interesting stuff because like I've known of you being at my con and being at Terrificon and I've seen you at New York City Comic Con, so it's like so intrinsic to be able to like get to know the whole process now that it's been what 3 years since you've been like we've kind of known of each other or have known each other. So it's really crazy to be able to get all this insight from you. Some of the questions that I also like to ask a lot of the artists, and I don't mean to change the subject, but this is really important. One is if you were able to draw any character or be able to get put on a custom cover of some sort of your liking, like whatever, doesn't matter what type of publishing, just whatever character it is, what character would that be? Like your ultimate character that you would want to draw?
Give me Wolverine. I think Wolverine.
Nice.
I could do some damage with Wolverine. Actually, yeah, it's funny. I'm wearing a Wolverine shirt.
Nice. Tell him.
I would go by publisher. I'd always like to do like the Demon for DC. I think I would kick ass on. Darker characters for some reason. I don't know.
Like Etrigan?
Yeah. I think I would tear up some Etrigan, man.
Yeah, I love him as a character. Great complex character. I want to make sure that I really maintain the focus on, the things that you do. So now, are you able to talk about what you're working on currently to kind of give anybody like a hint, or is this like top secret?
No, I can give you guys some covers that I'm doing.
All right. So what do we got coming up in the queue? All
right. Let's see. So this weekend, I've got Exquisite Corpses 1 coming out. That's Tinian's new book. Then I have John Cena's autobiography for Philly Fan Expo and Dallas Fan Expo. I have...
Wait, before you move on, are you able to see the book?
I haven't seen the book.
The John Cena book. Are you able to see it?
You got me.
Listen, I gotta get those dad jokes in every once in a while. All right, you were going right after John Cena now.
Then I'm doing a Val Kilmer one. I gotta do ASAP. I'm kind of behind on that. Like a tribute book. I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 9 coming out, which is my Fantastic Four 49 homage, which is sick. And that's going to be out just in time for the Fantastic Four movie as well. So,
nice. That's awesome.
And I'm doing Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees.
No spoilers on these episodes, by the way. I mean, by the time it airs, you'll be good, but
I'm good. Beneath the Trees I just did. I literally just submitted it before we went live. So that's cool. And I did a pretty cool cover for that too. It's I'll just say it. It's Goosebumps. I did a Goosebumps.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's going to be awesome.
That's cool.
I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen in Icon Comic Con when Kevin did our exclusive last year, the Gotcha Man cover and the tough stuff that he did was amazing. If you haven't picked up a copy, I'm sure that there might be some still available. I know I hoarded some for next Comic Con because I know I'm gonna see you again. But check out that cover. That thing is sick. So
yeah, if you're a fan of Gotcha Man, like anyone that's a fan of Gotcha Man, like loves this cover.
Yeah, it's an awesome cover. You did a really good job with it. So I'm just how do you say honored to be able to have my like Comic-Con, as a part of your exclusive cover. That was an awesome job, man. So
likewise.
As we kind of come to a full ideology of what got you, see the Icon Comic-Con icon for that year. So every year we pick a different artist to kind of do different iterations. Like this year is going to be Chris Mad. We had Ryan Gary Brown do the last one before that, and Nate Melendez did last one. And then the first one was actually my logo. I actually made it. And listen, it wasn't anything close to what you guys do with your art. So I'm just like, oh yeah, I had a little start of it, but the main thing I want to make sure that I want to kind of rail back to for you, your inspirations and kind of like what got you to becoming an artist. Now, this is kind of reflecting. So when it comes to you giving that next person, that next artist, that next person who's interested in comic books, a message, and you wanted to say, this is what I learned, this is who I am, and this is kind of like my knowledge that I want to bestow to you. Um, what would you say?
Don't do it. Go into banking. Go into the private sector. I don't know. So I'm kind of brutal with it because I know what I put into this because I'm literally doing this 24/7. So, if you're not doing that, don't do it. Honestly, it's so encompassing and like just takes over your life. And if you're not ready for that, don't do it. There's enough people that do this kind of stuff as a hobby, and I'm not a hobbyist. I'm a professional. Mm-hmm. So like, if you're not working harder, I'm gonna say if you're not working harder than me, it's like I can't give you anything. You know what I mean? Like that's that. Then there it is. Yeah. You gotta to be the man, you gotta beat the man. Woo!
Yeah, and perseverance. That is the definition of perseverance. So this is not like the Jack Kirby's and the Stan Lee's and John Romita Sr. These guys didn't like just do a cover and say, I'm done. All right. Yeah, I mean they were really putting in the work.
2 pages, 3 pages a day. Like it's insane. Yeah. So, Jack Kirby was drawing like 5 pages a day at one point. That's insanity, man.
Listen, man. I don't know how these guys did it, but I don't even know how you do it. I wish I had, like a quarter of the talent that you guys have as artists. You guys, especially you, do amazing work. So it's kind of like crazy some of the stuff that you guys come up with in your art. So those are the big things that I wanted to make sure that people understand about the comic book creators and the comic book artists. It's a path that not a lot of people take or might take, but don't necessarily expand the longevity of time, if you will. So it's something to really kind of give you some major kudos. I mean, you've been at it for quite some time, and to be able to see you to take over not only as saying, hey, I'm going to be doing these books, but now you're an artist that's blossoming to the next level, right? So you're doing that Bruce Leroy move where you're starting to get the glow, right?
Yeah, it's because of people like you and Thimble and my buddy Joe from Comics Collectibles that like believed in me and give me opportunities. And like whenever I get an opportunity, I never squander it. Like I do the most I can with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's some of the great works that you've come up with are just a test to what you're doing. One of the things I also like to ask before we close out, because I like to get your opinion and stuff like that, but I want to make sure I get this in too, because I like that projecting part that you brought up. I like to project the next big thing. If you could work with either a co-artist or a writer or a publishing company or something like that, right? So like if you could go any way you want, right? If you had the capability of working with anyone right now, who would it be?
I mean, the smart thing would be to say like Scott Snyder or Daniel Warren Johnson. Geez, that's a good question. That's not one you get tossed around too much.
I just want positive energy.
If I was smart, I would say one of those two because you're going to be working on a hit book. Same with like Robert Kirkman. Yeah, give me Kirkman. Why not?
All right, you hear that? Put it out in the universe. Kevin, thank you very much, man, for allowing me to interview you. I really do appreciate you taking the time to actually allowing me to hear the story of how you came about and kind of getting more of that. So that way for, Icon Comic-Con coming up on November 1st, if we see you there, you're always welcome. We could definitely, have some fun while you're there. But it's something that I wanted to kind of make sure to thank you for allowing me to interview you. It's been a pleasure. Is there any last words that you want to leave people with as we close out the interview?
Thanks for having me. Please check me out if you can. Get Tough Stuff. I can't endorse it enough. Not only is it like my baby, it's such a good book. Like I work so hard on it. Like I wouldn't work that hard on something I didn't believe in. You know what I mean? And check out reviews. No one reviews it and say like, "Oh, I don't like this book." Like people like it. It is what it is. It's not to be taken seriously. There's a lot of fun in it. Pick up Tough Stuff. Tough Stuff. Tough Stuff. Tough Stuff. I do all of this to push Tough Stuff.
I mean, and you do a good job of it. So again, everybody, this is for Icon Comic Con coming up November the 1st. If you guys are around and you want to check out some great artists, we have a CGC facilitator there. We also have an exclusive poster that we published from all the artists that are going to be at Icon this year, not just our guests. So we're expanding it beyond that. We have actually 2 winners from our prior children's contest that'll have their own table set up to kind of bring them into the scene of being like a comic book artist, if you will. And we also have the 501st Legion coming. It's a great time. It's a way to kind of get back in local and see some of the great comic book vendors that you love, comic book artists, of course, just like Kevin Delgado. It's definitely a lot of fun. Kevin, thank you very much for allowing me to interview you. This is the Behind the Comic Book podcast. We air Mondays at 12 p.m. Every week. Check it out and hope to see you at Icon. $5 for anybody 12 and up right now online. So buy that ticket. All right, guys. That being said, I'll check you soon.